Morning, just doing some work on the F100 today. It's got a whole heap of parts that still need to be put into satin black, and been fabricating brackets and fitting things for the air conditioning system. So just got some things in the tent this morning to get some epoxy primer on, and yeah, let's go and check it out. So the F100's up on the hoist. Been assembling all the things in the engine bay, radiators, transmission coolers, exhaust systems, things like that. But yeah, just did some condenser brackets. Actually going to run the condenser with two fans laying flat underneath this area here, as we don't have room behind the grill to make that happen. So we'll just go and see what we've got lined up. Also, a Chevy truck, that's all in 2K primer now. So we've almost finished dialing in the bonnet. There was so much work in getting that bonnet to line up on those fenders nice, but we're nearly there. It's nice in here, got the heater going, just getting some temperature into the metal. So we've got some exhaust rings, got a fan shroud for the condenser I made up yesterday. So we're just going to get some epoxy primer onto those this morning. A couple of little light bezels there. What happened with this thing is, because it was bright yellow and wasn't getting painted, we used a lot of chrome, which, you know, sort of worked at the time, but now with the dark green paint job, the chrome just doesn't work at all. So lots of sandblasting and lots of satin black. But as you can see, the dark green, the gold and the black, with the black wheels, it's going to be an absolutely magnificent truck, that's for sure. So just assembling all the exhaust system the other day. I can't remember when I built that, but it's probably nearly 2 years ago now. Yeah, I mean, you know, I've just been allowed to pretty much do whatever I wanted to with this truck, and it's turning out amazing. Which, you know, honestly is just the best way. Like, if you're trusting someone to build something for you and they've got a track record, give them some freedom, you know, trust the process, and you know, we're going to get an amazing result. So anyway, I'm about to jump in and throw some paint around, so come back shortly. That seems like pretty good stuff. That's the first time I've used PPG Racetech epoxy primer in the black. Yeah, it seemed really user-friendly to lay down, so just give that a little minute. That's a pretty light coat. I'm just going to dust that again once that's flashed off a little bit, and yeah, then we'll just cook it for a bit. Still looking forward to this spray booth rocking up in a couple of months. Really enjoying this type of work again. It's been a hell of a long time, and it's been really good to have Brendan showing me a whole heap of stuff to sort of, you know, bring it into the modern era. There's probably like a 20-year gap in me painting anything, but yeah, always did like it and enjoying it again. So Friday Arvo, just sort of having a bit of a play around on my own stuff. I've got to make some fuel tanks for the Chevy truck, some pretty big suckers, and I've got a picture in my head sort of what I want them to look like. And if you sort of look at most nice semis like Peterbilt's, Kenworths, etc., you know, the round tanks, they don't just have flat ends, they're nice and rolled on the edges, and they've also got like a low crown in the middle, which definitely adds to strength and just the styling and all the rest of it. So I'll set the camera up on a tripod and come along on this one. I got no idea whether this is going to work or not, so could be interesting, could be frustrating, could be swearing. Let's have a crack. So the other day I cut myself a disc out of MDF that I may use as a hammer form once I've routed the edges, but I'm thinking I may be able to do the edges using my bead roller and a shrinker. So I've actually ended up with about 1 inch of crown on that, just with that little bit of work. So phase 2 of the experiment now, I reckon, is see if we can bead roll the edge and then shrink that around the edges and yeah, see what kind of shape we're left with, I guess. I don't know, experiment. So just got the big radius dies and the bead roller. So we'll run the edge all around that a few times and see what we end up with, I guess. So we're getting shape, but I think the fact that it's sort of rocky means it's not stretched consistently. And I think to get that bit to lay down there and that bit to lay down there, we've got to do some more stretching in those areas. But I could be proper wrong too. Well, it's time to finish up for the day, but we ended up with a disc, a bit hard to see, but it's got a crown in it, about 1/2 inch of crown. It's got a rolled edge all the way around. It's a little bit rocky, but I think pulled up to a round tank it would lay down. I don't know. Yeah, sort of worked. A little bit more metal finishing, a little bit more sort of playing around, and put it up to a rolled cylinder and get it sort of tacked all the way around. And honestly, I think by the time it was welded, the heat would probably actually make it relax a fair bit more. I'll try and get it to lay flat before I commit to anything further, but probably disappointing was the bead roller dies mark the aluminium, so that always sucks, but I'm not polishing these tanks. They're either going to be painted or powder coated. I think my days of polishing truck tanks are probably done. Yeah, so hey, we'll just see how the next phase of it goes. It's only going to be the 2 backs of the tanks that are away from the sleeper cab that I'll be able to see. So yeah, next step, see if I can get it laid down, roll the cylinder and tack it up. I guess we can always bust it out and throw it in the scrap bin, but I really just don't want flat ends welded onto a round tank. I just yeah, I don't know, I reckon we can do better. Anyway, Friday night now, head off to home, be back in the morning. That'll do, catch you then.